Hi, magical peeps. Welcome back to Susan Lynn Psychic Medium video here on YouTube. And today we're going to do another video about ghosts. And this is why it's important to you, because I promise you, you either have a ghost now, or you've had a ghost in the past, or you're going to have one in the future. Ghosts are like, they migrate. They literally change houses and people depending on the situation. Ghosts are low vibration energies. They're people that have died and they have not crossed over for whatever reason. A couple of reasons they might not have crossed over are they were shocked when their death happened and they literally do not think they're dead. Believe me, I've talked to these ghosts. Some of them do not believe they're dead. That's a problem because they're dead. But anyway, another reason would be that they don't want to cross over because the people that are on the other side were potentially not nice to them. Maybe they abused them. And so they don't want to go there. And who could blame them, right? So I have crossed over ghosts, all different kinds of ghosts. And that's how I know these stories, why they're here, right? They're here because they're stuck. They either don't know how to cross over, they don't want to cross over because they're afraid of the people there, they don't think they're dead. And I'm going to talk about two different kinds of ghosts here today. The garden variety ghost is the ghost that lives in your closet or in a utility room. An attic is very popular. Bathrooms are popular. Weird little space, like if you have a crawl space or maybe a space under your stairs. Basically, they don't want to bother you and they don't want to be bothered. But these kind of more passive ghosts are actually affecting your household energy because their energy, we're energy, they have a vibration, we have a vibration. And if they're in your house, it means that your house, the vibration in your house is a little lower than normal, typically. Why that is because ghosts are more comfortable in a lower vibration house. And what does that mean? It means that possibly somebody has been sick in your house, that you're working way too many hours, that you're in a bad relationship, your house is not happy. Any of those reasons that are normal life problems that we all have at one point or another would be a reason that a ghost would come home with you and stay in your house. How does your ghost come home with you? Glad you asked. You know what? They can't fly. They can't pop over here or pop over there the way your parents that have crossed over can do. Your parents can pop over and see this grandchild and then pop over and see that grandchild, just like that, no problem. Ghosts cannot do that. They're stuck on sort of this low vibration on the ground. They're grounded, basically. But they can attach to you on an airplane, in an airport, in a bus station, in a hospital, in an office. I recently stayed in a cabin and brought back a really yucky ghost. He was so good, I didn't pick up on him until I got back in my house. 2 days later, I woke up in the middle of the night with my guides saying, you need to attend to this. I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. So number one ghost is the garden variety. I still think that even though for the most part they're passive, even for the most part they're not doing anybody any harm, to any large degree, they do compound that lower vibration. So if you're working too much and you're just stressed out, and then that's, stressing your spouse out and your kids out or your pets out, the ghost is actually feeding off of that low energy. They actually take a little bit of your energy. And when they do, they leave you a little bit of their signature energy as well. So typically ghosts are sad, upset, mad, angry, all those lower vibration things. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't be a ghost. So because they're in your house and you're going through these things yourself, they will add their vibration to that and actually make you more sad, more angry, more tired, more upset, more emotional, all these emotions. So you really want to address this. Now, you're asking me, how do I even know if I have one? You know, sometimes they don't make any noise. These garden variety ghosts that I call them, they don't go through the house banging on things and let you catch them out the corner of your eye. That's not their game. Their game is to be chill. Don't bother me because I'm safe in your house and I want to live here and I need you as my energy source, okay? But I would suggest that you do a white light protection around your house, and or you can sage it. Sage is not as good as people think, to be honest with you. We really need to address the vibration in your home. And if you can't address the vibration in your home by not working as much, or you know, it's just not possible at this time, or if somebody has an illness, a long illness, I mean, you can't do anything about that. But how you can address it is you can raise the vibration of your house by playing really fun music that you love, as long as it's not death metal, right? As long as it's not something, you know, pretty yucky, evil, or have a lot of violence in the lyrics, but something peppy and fun, and it makes you feel good and it makes you up. That's going to bring the vibration up in your house. That's step number one. So on occasion, once a week, once a day, whatever feels good for you, even if you have to do it in the bathroom. The rest of the house doesn't necessarily have to participate in this, but do things to bring the vibration up in your house. A really good thing that really works is an indoor water fountain. That you can get them for $30 or $50, depending on how much you want to pay. You can get them from Amazon. They just make this tinkly, tinkly, tinkly little water sound, and that actually disrupts that negative vibration in your house and will raise the vibration in your house. I have used that to get rid of a really particularly bad ghost for a client. They literally couldn't go in one of their bathrooms. So this water fountain actually moved that energy out of the house because the energy couldn't stand the sound of it. So sound is a really big thing. Playing music, playing the water fountain. If you have a singing bowl, obviously a crystal singing bowl, that's fantastic, but not necessary. But you know, if you do have it, play it. Anything that, to be honest with you, to a degree, you could take, maybe when no one's home so they don't think you're crazy, but you could take a pot and a wooden spoon and bang it and go through your whole house and bang this pot and make the clangiest, loudest noise you can and just say, if you're not here for my highest good, you must leave now. You are the owner of this house. Therefore, you can tell other energies to leave. So the magic phrase is, if any energies here are here that are not for my highest good, you must leave now. And clanging that pot, what that does is it, you know, gets them all shook up, like, you know, what the heck is going on? And then you have the very strong statement that they have to go. That in and of itself can really, if nothing else, it'll jar them and get them all just discombobulated, and then hopefully the statement will push them out. They're not going to want to stay there with a jangling, banging pot. I promise you, sound is really important to the vibration of your house. It affects the vibration of your house. So that's important. You can always call in Archangel Michael. You do not have to be Catholic. You don't have to be Christian. You don't have to be anything. You can be an atheist. It doesn't matter. They don't care. But you call in Archangel Michael. He is the archangel with the weapon, with the sword, the only one. And he will come through your house and basically clear it out for you. That's awesome. So these are some of these things you can actually do for the second ghost as well. So this is really, really, really good way to take care of the garden variety ghost. Now, for the second variety ghost. Now, I'm still talking about ghost. I'm not talking about poltergeist. I'm not talking about, you know, disincarnate energies. Those are a whole different thing, okay? A whole different, like, pro league. We're talking about ghosts. The second ghost is the crotchety, angry, mad ghost. This ghost is almost always connected to your house in some way. Generally speaking, they were born there or they grew up in the house. They're very, very emotionally connected to your house. And they don't like what you're doing to their house. Maybe you just did a remodeling project and that made them mad. Maybe they just, hate to say it, but they just don't like you. They still have their personality. Just like you have your personality. We don't like everybody. Some people just rub us the wrong way. Believe it or not, you can rub a ghost the wrong way. I had a client one time who didn't even believe in any of this. Finally, his sister convinced me and him to get together to deal with this ghost because the ghost in his house was so bad that even he was admitting that something was happening that he could not explain. I mean, this man did not believe in this. Let me tell you what this ghost was doing to him. This guy bought the house. It was a historic house from the 1900s. He then proceeded to do a major remodel. He took walls down. He put walls up. He really changed the actual footprint of the house. And while doing this, and he did it all himself, he was a fantastic craftsman, really beautiful work. But while he was doing this, the ghost was getting more and more mad. And the ghost was doing the weirdest things. So it actually dovetails when you put them together. But when you take them apart, you're thinking, what is this? So the ghost started by taking the cords of the mini blinds and weaving them in this weird pattern. So this guy would come home and notice that all the cords of his mini blinds were kind of in knots, crazy knots. And he was like, I mean, he didn't do that. He's not a knot, he doesn't tie knots, and they were knotted all the way up, not just one knot. It was a work of art. Guess what? This guy lived by himself. His girlfriend lived in another city. She didn't visit very often. He was basically there by himself all the time. He didn't have any friends. This was a new town. His sister didn't come visit very often. So there was no one else that could have done this. No one. So he started dealing with that. That was one thing, right? So he kind of, you know how we do sometimes, we make excuses, right? So the next thing that started happening was the house is raised off the ground. So there's a crawl space under the house. It's a pretty tall crawl space, but not one that you could walk under. You would have to crawl on all fours. So he would get his power tool and he would get multiple extension cords and he would knot them together so that, they couldn't pull apart. That's something that a lot of people do. You don't want to get somewhere and then yank on it and then have the cord pull apart. So you just do a little, knot. So he knotted them together and he crawled under the house through all the muck and the grime and everything and got to the other side of the house where he needed to do this work. Went to use his drill and no power. No power. He turns around, he pulls on the cord, he realizes it's loose. So he pulls the cord all the way to him and realizes it's come unplugged. He goes all the way back, plugs it together, knots it together tighter, crawls all the way back over, no power. Goes back, it's undone again. And this is the thing. This guy is stubborn and hard-headed, and the ghost was stubborn and hard-headed. So if this thing was going to get unplugged one time, it was going to get unplugged 10 times. This guy was not going to give up. This went on for days before his sister finally convinced him to call me to go over there. So when I go over there, the first thing that the ghost tells me is he's mad. I mean, he is mad. In Texas, we call it spitting nails. He was spitting nails. And he was talking about all this remodeling that had gotten done, and this was done wrong. And it actually wasn't done wrong, but it wasn't the way it was. And this ghost told me that he was a shipbuilder. He built ships with wooden ships. And when he had time off, he was building this house. He actually built the house himself. And he was building the house with the leftover wood or whatever. And he was a true craftsman, a true carpenter. But honestly, so was the guy that bought the house. He was very, very good. But they butted heads. They didn't like each other. They really, really didn't like each other. So I'm over here trying to make a ghost and a man try to put down their weapons and get to know each other and maybe live together, maybe accept one another. No, that's not what happened. Because also this guy worked on ships, he knew all the ship's knots, and he was knotting the blinds in a ship's knot over and over and over and over and over. So nothing but ship's knots all the way up. And I told my client, he's saying those are ship's knots and you don't know what you're talking about. You didn't even know there were ship's knots. Like, that's an important thing. But we looked at them, and indeed they were a specific knot that they use in sailing in these big schooners. So this ended up being such a problem that my client sold the house. He sold the house. He left. He couldn't deal with it. The people that bought the house have not had any problem at all. Of course, the people that bought the house are not handy. They haven't touched one thing. They haven't changed anything. And so, it's okay. The guy's okay. He's like, okay, you don't touch my house, I'm okay with you. You touch my house, we got a problem. So that's the second kind of ghost, angry ghost. Sadly, in the previous example, the angry ghost won because the man sold the house. But you can work with them if you're able to understand where they're coming from and try to broker some kind of deal. So in that case, obviously, this guy is not going to stop renovating the house. I mean, the house did need some renovations. He took it a little too far in a sense that he added some things, but they were beautiful, beautifully done. So I was trying to convince the ghost, look, this guy's a craftsman, you're a craftsman, you both have things in common, you both do very, very detailed work, but they were just too hard-headed to hear it. So when you have an angry ghost who won't leave you alone, won't leave your house alone, this is a hard problem because whereas maybe even a discarnate ghost, we can get rid of them because they don't really have an attachment to your home. They just have an attachment to you, or they just happen to be in your home and they just want to harass you. It's a different angle, a different reason that they're involved in the situation. The angry ghost is attached to your house. The best thing to do is try to make friends with them. If you can't make friends with them and come to some kind of truce, if you can't do that, then the second thing is you just have to get them to leave. You may have to have a professional come in because honestly, those other things aren't going to work. Water fountain, not going to work. It's just literally they'll get more mad and start throwing things in your house, if they have the ability, if they have that kind of power at their disposal. So there's not very many ways to get rid of them unless you just really go to a professional and have a medium talk to the ghost and try to get them to cross over. Where I'm at now as a medium, I probably would have tried to cross him over. I think I could have convinced him. I think I could have called somebody on the other side that he would have wanted to be with. We just have to find that person. That's the key. But at that time, I was very, very new, and I could talk to him. I could talk to the ghost, and I could talk to my client, and I could see where the problems were, but I wasn't as good at crossing them over at that time. So I think really the best thing to do is just try to get them to cross over. Because if they can let go of the house and just cross over, that's the best thing. They're not going to let go of the house and go down the street. I can promise you that right now. The garden variety ghost will let go of your house and go next door or down the street or around wherever, But the angry ghost, the one that's connected to your house, is just not going to be that pliable. So this is the two versions of ghosts that you're probably going to deal with in your life, and how you can start to understand where they're coming from and how you can deal with them, how you can get them to move on out of your space. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I know that a lot of you out there have ghost stories, even if you've just seen a little thing fleeting out of your eye, or if you've seen a shadow, or you've even felt your hair move. They do that. They make things drop, they make noise, they upset your pets. So many things that they do, and they're real, and they really are in your house, and they are so transient that they can come in and out. I mean, you could get rid of one and 6 months later pick up another one, or even 6 days later pick up another one. It's just they need us because we are their energy source, and a house is safe. That's where they need to be safe. So I hope this was helpful for you. I really enjoyed talking to you today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. It really helps other people see that this video was interesting and worthwhile watching. And if you want to see more videos about ghost, psychic, mediumship stories, channeling, I do channel a group of ascended beings called the Orion Collective. They've had some very interesting things to say about what we're going through in 2020. Please subscribe to my channel. You'll get the first information, the first notice ding whenever I have a new video, and you can check it out. You guys take care, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.